Welcome to the GAC podcast. I am Jeff Kay. I'm with Charles Hopper, Sharon Harkin, and Seymour Samea. And today we are going to discuss the legal standpoints, the memory preservation standpoints, and Sharon, forgive me, can you help me out here?
It's helping people stay independent and
Perfect.
avoiding the crisis
Thank
situation.
you. Perfect. So, with the brief intros over, I guess my first question is for Charles. From your perspective with Legal Shield, what is the most common legal asset protection piece that families completely just neglect until it's too late?
Well, actually, it's kind of a not one thing, but kind of a combination of things under the heading I call estate planning. Estate planning and things like medical directives, things like financial powers of attorney, those types of things. A lot of us, we don't think about that until it either gets to an end or we end up in some type of a crisis. So just real quickly about the wills and trust. That's something not only for the individual in terms of them being able to have their wishes met, but it really keeps the family out of a lot of, I don't want to say angst, once that person is in a situation where they're either incapacitated and can't make decisions for themselves medically, or they've already passed on. And then there's things that they wished for in terms of after their passing, whether that be finances, whether that be properties, whether that be just how, they'd like to be interned, those types of things. So I would say the estate planning, we usually wait right up till the end, even though we know that day is coming for all of us. So I would say that right there is probably the biggest thing, certainly that we can help with over at Legal Shield. But that's probably the biggest thing.
Okay, thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this one's for Sharon. So, how did you actually get started in tailored solutions? Just curious.
How did what?
How did you get started?
How did I get started?
Yes.
So I worked as an executive director for 25 years in assisted living. And I've always found that a lot of the times that people are moving into assisted living after crisis mode. So what does that look like? Crisis mode can start with overwhelming paperwork, or they ended up in the hospital because they didn't clean the refrigerator out, and they ended up eating bad food. So I always found that there was a need for the people that are independent that just need a little bit of help. As far as paperwork, bills start piling up. Um, Sometimes they send out checks and leave checks on the table, and then that gives people opportunity to steal from them.
Wow.
So it's basically being the eyes and ears for the family and just being their support and helping them go through day by day.
So important.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, how does a physical or logistical disorganization compound the legal issues that Charles was just mentioning?
Well, it's not paying their bills. I can give you a perfect example. I had a gentleman who was 86 years old, and still fairly independent, but found out that he wasn't paying all of his bills. And unfortunately, some of those consequences had happened. Luckily, I jumped in when I did.
Mhm.
I got him into the assisted living, and we are in the process of selling his house. Unfortunately, we did have some issues with flooding. Um, you know, so if he had allowed me to get in there earlier and to help him out while he was in the assisted living, this may or may not have happened. But it
Wow.
turned out okay. So he's safe. That's all that counts. He couldn't be in the house. He probably wouldn't have survived this winter because he kept falling.
Mm.
So
Ouch.
I was happy to get in there to help them to do the best I can. And I meet them where they are. Sometimes people forget people that are older in their 80s and 90s, they've lived an entire life. and they don't want to give up their independence. So they don't want somebody to come in and say, do this and do that. I work with them as to where they want to go. I give them suggestions. I give them opportunities. But at the same token, I will, as long as they're safe and happy, I will meet them where they are. So if they don't want to do something, by all means, I'll explain to them why it's not a good idea or what could be a better solution. But at the end of the day, they're adults and they lived an entire life. They've had careers and education, and you have to respect their dignity, And so it's a slow process sometimes, but the idea is to keep them safe.
So important.
Absolutely.
Seymour, so how
Yeah.
does the GAC and yourself handle these dual gaps between legal and organizational, and how it manifests as emotional stress or conflict within the family unit?
Sure. Well, Jeff, first of all, thank you for hosting. It's been now several months with some really nice weekly podcasts for great members of the group to get this word out. The adult children are really hurting for education and information. They want to do the right thing. There is major fear. Where do I start? What do I do? And of course, that starting point, like everyone has been saying, always starts with an event. It could be a fall, it could be wandering, and then things really escalate. Jeff, thank you for hosting, putting everything. I know in a minute you'll be letting everybody know what's going on at Jeff K Studios, especially with my digital memories. So important. And I just want to say the things that are out there, like the members from today, like members that have been on the different podcasts, that have been with the advisory group. My career is care management for families has been lifetime, and literally every day there are new things out there to keep people safe. But it's not about me. It's not about the group. It's a village. We have a great village of people really helping. I want to throw something out at Charles, really important. Charles, one moment with your background with many years of Legal Shield, explain to the viewing audience that if there is no capacity, meaning if mom and dad are unable to sign these documents, what happens from there? That's a major fear. And I know you've seen this before. Go right ahead.
Well, what happens there, when there's not a directive in place, for the physicians themselves or for the power of attorney and financial power of attorney, as far as what Sharon has been talking about, I mean, it really gets into a quagmire at that point in time. Now you have maybe some guardian ad litem type situations where the court has to now assign somebody, maybe somebody outside the family, in order,
No, sure.
to take care of that, that individual. And then it causes all kind of strife within a family. I mean, because, we want to get these things in place and get them done prior to something happening, especially as we age in life. And even some of us younger people need to have that in place as well. It just gets to be a quagmire. And I know in one particular situation, I know in my family, my wife's family, where that happened, and the parents both passed away. They had a business, a farm, and everything else that was actually went to her uncle, and got all messed up. And I'll just to make a long story short, it was in Texas, and it ended up that the attorneys for their fees and everything else ended up taking over the business and the family farm and everything else just because things weren't in place. And so what we do certainly over at Legal Shield, we make that very seamless for people to be able to have those documents and those wishes, those things put in place prior to things. We do it in a very, very, very affordable way, for the families and for the individuals and stuff. So whether they need a trust or a will or those power of attorneys, they're already in place. As a matter of fact, I just got mine done and updated as well. So that keeps people out of a quagmire and, and allows, people like Sharon to be able to do what they do in order to help them as they transition through life. So hopefully that answers your question, Seymour.
Well, Sean, the key is get to you, explain things, not to wait. What I'm seeing now, and we've had some great conversations with all of us these past few weeks, people are now realizing that mom and dad are in Florida, just to mention one state, and family and adult children are here in New York, New Jersey, and then they realize it's time to bring them back. And then they don't have any of those legal documents because they can't find things, or maybe something shows up that says copy, never been signed. Now they have to really start all over, from medical forms to all the legal documents, and they just don't know where to reach out. But Sharon, you're not only helping keeping everybody safe and making that, but if anything else that comes up, you told us quite a few times that you have the team of people that'll come in to do home modification, if it's packing, moving, downsizing, and that's so important. So Sharon, just a moment on that. You have all these things in place from your background. You've seen it all, I'm sure, but you have those types of positions available to help people get to the next step, again, in a very orderly fashion. Anything you want to add to that?
I think, anytime I'm dealing with a senior, I'm always looking for the next minor step ahead. What's going to happen next? If I'm seeing that there's some obstacles in the way and they really do need to have 24-hour surveillance, then I'm doing the smaller things and bringing up assisted living. I do the assisted living placement, but again, it's very difficult to, you have to put yourself in their shoes. They've lived in their house their entire life, and now you're telling them that really the only thing they can bring with them is a bed, a chair, and a couple of things they're overwhelmed. They're like, what do I do with everything? So working with them in small cases, we'll be able to start going through and managing and destroying paperwork and packing and selling and organizing, and then searching for the assisted living. When you're searching for assisted living, it's not just about the aesthetics or the pricing. You also have to look at other things. You have to read through the contracts. Do they have long-term care insurance? Did they have family members that have VA benefits? Are there other opportunities to help pay for these services? But not only that, you also want to make sure that they're going into an assisted living that fits their personality. You could go, I worked in an assisted living that was in Freehold, and they were very wealthy business owners, and they worked their entire life. The facility was beautiful. I've also worked in places that were very small and very quaint, and they were farmers' wives, and so every assisted living has their own personality. So it's not just about finding a perfect assisted living for price wise.
And of course you've seen
transition.
And of course, you've seen it's not just for day one of moving in. There has to be that long range needs. Well, if there is a memory issue and there's a problem of wandering, or maybe some kind of agility, getting really nervous, excited, there has to be that type of fit also. So it's not just for the first day to move in. There's a lot of things there. So really
it's
important.
The follow through. Absolutely. Are they being assessed for the right care plan?
Right.
That's a major thing. They bring somebody in, it's like, they have different levels, and they bring them in at a higher level, but then and their sales pitches. But if we see that they don't need it, we'll bring it down a level. But then it never happens because nobody's oversighting that. And it's kind of helping the senior move in, to encourage them to be independent and say, wait a minute, I can do that. Because that's going to help them in the long run, because that's going to help make their money last longer.
Seymour, can I add one quick thing to what Sharon is saying? The nice thing we have, like as far as our legal show memberships and plans are concerned, is she was talking about things when they're moving into the assisted living and whatever, the documents and stuff that the family members of themselves have to sign, being able to understand that. We have, as part of our plans, we have the attorneys help with that. I mean, so they understand exactly what they're getting, exactly what it says in real language that they understand. So all that's part of what we offer as well. And that's really, really beneficial, not only to the senior, but to the family, whatever.
It's the family really that needs to know everything, because everyone at that point is so overwhelmed. Sharon is doing a great job as that advocate, not just helping them stay calm and safe, which we know is so important, but as an advocate, you're explaining different things down the line, which is only going to get everyone to breathe. Charles, you're going down the line. It's not just a couple of documents. It's really everything in there. But I want to take a moment and toss it over to Jeff. Jeff, you're listening. You've been around. You've seen what's going on. in the senior population with my digital memories. You've seen people now are really overwhelmed and they just want to do the right thing for their family, grandchildren, and have that legacy with mom and dad's photos, slides. How does that work? Where would be the first starting point? Someone's going to an assisted living. They're not taking, 500 slides with them and 16 VCR tapes. Where do you come in and how do you get them to really get this great quality?
And I appreciate you for asking. Well, for starters, unlike when I was growing up, which seems like a lifetime ago, people don't have the time, or it seems like they don't have the time to go through a slideshow or go through an album or anything. And what most people don't even realize is your VHS tapes and film really only have a life expectancy of 30 years. And we're way beyond that for some films, VHS tapes, pictures, and it also depends upon where the stuff was stored. I've had customers where the stuff was stored in trash bags in their garage, and where I've actually had to restore it before digitizing it. And in some cases, it's not even restorable. So the object is to well, let's back up. Before you even get to digitizing it, do you want it organized? I mean, the photos are one thing, but what most people seem to forget is after this generation's gone, who's in the picture? Are you going to know the people in the picture? Where was the picture taken? Who took the picture? I mean, where is it? What's the time frame?
Yeah.
What's the story behind it? Why is it important? I mean, there is so much information that can be put into those pictures. And besides that, God forbid, what happens if there's another, I'll go back a few years, like storm like Sandy or Katrina or something, and your house gets flooded.
Doesn't take much.
I mean, you might, if the stuff is digitized, you might lose the physical pictures, but at least you'll have your digital pictures.
Right. But
So,
Jeff, sorry to interrupt you, with Charles explaining about the documents, what happens when families cannot get these documents? I know your firm has now put together a program where things can get organized. How does that work? Because it could be just drawers full of papers.
well, there's a couple ways to do it. One, we can digitize it for them and give it to the family, so it's all in one place,
Right.
with a secure folder and everything, so it's online. Or two, we have a solution called a knockbox, which is kind of like if you're camping, it's a go bag. Basically, it's got all your information in it in one place. It's organized. It's got tabs. So one says life insurance, one says legal, one says it could
Financial, sure, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, you could. It's kind of like a recipe box, so to speak.
I assume some of the ones that are available are waterproof, fireproof. So there's that fear is being taken away. And
Yes.
So important. Thanks, Jeff. Really important. I mean,
and one of the other important things, I know we've talked a lot about memories and stuff and organization, but what if somebody falls and the medics come to the house and they can't find the information, or the person doesn't know the information, or who was ever there doesn't have the history? What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a solution for that too. It's called My ID. You can actually wear a pendant or put it on a bracelet, and that's all the medics have to do is scan it with their phone, and all your medical information will be right there.
This could actually be life-changing for moments to find out that somebody passed out, because of high blood pressure? Do they pass out because of a diabetic issue? It's right there. Not getting to the
Oh, yeah.
hospital, start running tests, and hours can just start going by real fast. So
Absolutely.
you really have the solution for one-stop shopping, and the easiest way for everyone to see your information is online at mydigitalmemories.com.
Actually, I now have rebranded myself to Jeff K Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff K Studios encompasses everything. It encompasses my ID, my digital memories, Lockbox, and another subsidiary called Preston Faith, which deals with biblical scriptures of inspiration.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that beautiful letterhead
Mhm.
paper when I'm talking about
Yeah.
just an email. I mean, this is something to be framed and could be in someone's home. It could be in assisted living, independent, something to really make them start off the day really feeling good. Wow.
Yeah, we've also even branched out where we're doing sublimation, where we're actually putting biblical scriptures on. Could be mugs, could be hats, shirts, whatever you want.
There you go. One-stop shopping. That's it.
And if you wanted to, we also sell cards that you could actually plant. So if you want to give a scripture or a picture to somebody, they can take that card, put it in soil, water it, and you got wildflowers.
Wow,
That's neat.
it's nice.
That is neat.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Really,
Yeah.
really preserving those memories, but most of all, keeping people safe. Doesn't matter if they're at home. Sharon's going to be helping them. They're going into the facility. The documents in place from John. It's really good things. This has been really terrific. Getting this information out, and we're all here for each other. It takes a village. Everyone says that, but it really does. If we can't be leaning on each other for good things, and then there's nothing else that's more important than that. You know, you ask any of the geriatric specialists, and they immediately tell you how great it is that the population is living longer. I'm helping families that mom is living with a daughter at 102 years old, and thank goodness the different types of resources that I can get to the home to help the mom with their, excuse me, to help the daughter with their mom is terrific. And all of us putting these things together, thank goodness every day there are really good things out there. But I really want to take a moment to commend all you guys, just doing a great job. I appreciate all your support with me and your friendship, of course. And together with the advisory group, we've really grown to be one of the top marketing and networking groups to really deal with everything in the senior population. Jeff, anything that you want to wind down with? I know everyone is
Yeah, I've got
busy.
a bunch of stuff, actually. Now, Sharon, you mentioned you deal with organization. And I'm thinking of my stepfather who passed away last year. And I'm not even going to go into the condition of his house. I'll just say it was a pit and leave it at that. What do you do with hoarders and where you walk in and you just, I don't know where anything is, and you gotta sift through stuff to even find the floor.
Yeah, it's major shock.
Well, it's funny because one of the persons that I'm dealing with literally has every piece of mail from 1986, every bill, every investment sheet, every checkbook, every statement. So that is what I'm doing right now. And that's why it's so important that we catch it before that point. Explaining to people, and they really shouldn't keep this stuff in their house. They don't want to put it on their computer because, one, they don't know how, and two, it's much different. You can go onto your checking account and see everything that you've done on your computer without leaving every statement that you've ever had in your life in a file. So as far as that, it's starting from the beginning. It's coming in every week, and getting rid of the junk mail. Unfortunately, there's so many scams these days, and people asking for money, and it's really, really sad. You know, so it's really important that family members or somebody like Tailored Solutions, as part of what they do, is stopping in, is going through that mail and getting rid of things that they don't need, and organizing or discarding things they don't need to save. Um, you know, so yes, that's what happens if you don't. You
Wow.
get piles and piles of paperwork. They get overwhelmed, and they have a thought process of, we need to save every single piece of paper for our records, and it's just not that way anymore. It's
Right.
actually very dangerous.
You know,
So, yeah,
at least once a year, there is a news story that a fire broke out in somebody's home or apartment, and the emergency personnel, including fire, could not get into that apartment in time. I mean, it's really frightening, and when there's nobody around there to really help out, it's it could turn completely lethal within moments. I mean, really, really frightening.
Absolutely.
Exactly, Seymour, and that's why why I have the house manager program, so it's doing all of that stuff. But I also have the maintenance program where we come in and we check the dryer to make sure that it doesn't need to be pulled out. We are looking for trip hazards. We're looking for lighting issues. All of these things without being too obvious. These are the things that we're looking for. The smoke detectors and the CO2 detectors, are they working? So those are the small things that there really isn't a service for, for somebody to come in the outside of, not a specific, it's not like a plumber or electrician.
Right.
So, that's why I think it's so important, because it's being preventative. All of this stuff is being preventative, and it can make the biggest difference in the world.
It is
Not to make
life-changing.
light of a serious situation. So basically, you just need like a forklift and a shredder.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Those shredder companies are very expensive, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's scary. Wow.
Well, Seymour, now I have a question for you.
What's that?
I said I have a question for Seymour.
Yeah, Jeff.
You get a call from a person's child. The lady's 102, for example. She needs help, but the child's like, I'm not paying that. What do you do?
Well, you know what? I let them know, first of all, what I'm about in a very simple way. Fortunately, most people then do understand, but there are people that just feel, well, it's just that I need 20 different things, and why pay you as care management if I could just go online? And again, I wish them all the best with it. I let them know it's going to be difficult. I don't tell them that I'm better than anyone. And I let them know that I don't take this personally. If you do change your mind, give me a call. Unfortunately, I've got a call where someone said, it's me, Frank. Do you remember me? And I said, Frank, you called about 3 months ago. Your mom was in a hospital and dad all alone, but you just felt it'll be okay. And just wanted to know what I'm all about. But how is your mom? Well, that's what I'm calling. Mom died in bed about an hour ago. I'm waiting for the funeral director. And now I need help for my dad, and I need living, and I need someone to prepare meals, and I need, and there's nothing to say. The mom just passed away. They're calling me. I'm not going to say what took you so long, but it is sad that you think you're going to get help for your dad within 4 minutes. You could maybe get Dunkin' Donuts coffee in 4 minutes, but you can't just get someone in the house. You can't get Sharon in 4 minutes. You can't get anything of legal documents that the dad might need from Charles in 4 minutes. You just can't. But fortunately, most people will hear about me through their family doctor, through their attorney, through the friends and relatives. I'm living in the same home for 50 years. I've been doing care management lifetime. Thank goodness people know when they call me, they know that I'm, in their words, that I'm the real deal, and I'm helping them. And we got the resources through the advisory group, and I'm constantly there to get those resources and those referrals out to the members. And at the end of the day, when you hear good things, it just feels good all around.
Absolutely.
Now I have one more question for Charles. Them can do a quick roundtable,
Sure.
and I'm sure Seymour might chime in here. Charles, have you ever had anybody who's had to have a case of elder care abuse?
Mm.
I personally have not, but it does come up.
Yeah.
And so, and unfortunately, that is probably more pervasive than most of us would like to understand or know about. One of the things in terms of helping to prevent that or to lessen it, I would say, if we have things in place prior to a person being in a position where that could happen. And here's a quick example I'm going to talk about. For you, we think about the end of life uh, piece where we said, hey, we need a will, we need we need the trust, we need these powers of attorneys, we need these things now because something has happened, someone has fallen, someone has gotten sick, they're basically on their way out, for lack of better words. But if we start taking care of some of that beforehand, this is for some of the younger people, for themselves, and maybe even for their parent who may not have those documents in place. If we get those documents in place before, then at that time when the parent or when the person is getting older, or even themselves with their children, they make those selections when they're basically, like the old people would say, clothed in a right mind. They make those selections then. This is the person who I want to have as my executor. This is the person or that I want to have as my decision maker, if I'm in that position. Even for myself, if I have younger children. Me and my wife, we just had, that same thing done for us. And what that does is, you get to select rather than when something happens, then someone is kind of put into that position where they either, like what Seymour was talking about, hey, I don't want to pay for that. I think, Jeffrey, you were talking about that. Or, they don't want to hire somebody, like Sharon in order to come in and help, because now everything is in this state. And so what happens is then that leads to that person who is selected as the person, to give care or whatever. That leaves them kind of in a precarious position where they're thinking, man, I got my whole life to live. How did I get in this position? Why do I have to take care of this person? And sometimes those things will lead to, that kind of abuse of the elder because again, they don't want to be there. And so all of a sudden that happens. If some of these things are already put in place prior to that, then either that person knows it's coming or someone else, who may be more suitable was selected. So,
Mm.
I mean, those are some of the cases that we see come up because again, it comes to I think what what you talked about at the first part of this. I think it echoes, and I think there's a good that's a good description of what we're doing here. But what happens is, I mean, now we're doing it under a panic instead of already having it taken care of. But unfortunately, elder abuse does happen.
Yeah.
It can be a criminal offense, so people end up in criminal court and that type of thing. And then you have this
Mm.
big fluff and a lot of other things added to the things we just talked about here today. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's kind
Yeah.
of what happens, throughout time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But Jeff, I just want to let you know, it's not just the word elder abuse. The next part of it is elder financial abuse.
Exactly.
Things that are going on. We all know about different scams and the phone calls, but I know people in the state of New Jersey that work in the Attorney General's office.
Mhm.
Specifically, it's not just the son or daughter that's taking out the parents' money. It's the nephew, the niece that they wrote them
Right.
up as that person to be in charge of the power of attorney.
Mhm.
And now the aunt needs to be in assisted living, and they find out it's $12,000 a month in New Jersey, and they start to get all the paperwork together, and it's $1.98 in the checking account. Well, the
Mhm.
only one that had the power of attorney to move funds was the nephew, and then it turns into a really bad show. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of crazy things out there. But
Right.
listen, we only can do what we can do, and
Mhm.
hopefully, I know from experience and working with so many great people that thank goodness there are good things out there.
Mhm.
But Jeff, I know you want to wind it down, and really appreciate all this hard work and everything that you've been doing and producing it and editing, getting it all set up like this. This has just been terrific. I want to thank everybody again for taking time out in the middle of the day. And put some of this good information out there, and Jeff will be getting it all out there with your websites and all your information. Jeff, thank you again.
Jeff, you're actually muted there, sir.
You're on mute, Jeff. There you go. You're on mute, Jeff. There
I
you
guess
go.
I would have took myself off mute.
There you go.
Now thanks, Seymour. Let's go around the room real
Mhm.
quick to see if you guys have any comments, questions, or anything you'd like to add before we wrap up.
No, I'm fine. I think I said all with. I just thank everybody for everything they're doing and all that hard work. But if anyone else wants to finish up, and then we can move on to the regular day of problem solving.
I just want to say thank you, Jeff and Seymour. You guys are great. And Charles, it was really nice to meet you. I'll definitely give you a call.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, the last thing I'll just kind of include, and again, thanks again, Jeff and Seymour for this, and Sharon, it was great meeting you as well. One thing I do want to add, though, when we talk about the estate planning and that type of thing, like that thing, you know, we don't want people to assume that when they get their estate planning done, they get all those documents put together and stuff, that the lawyers are going to keep copies of that. That's not how it works.
No,
you know, you have to select an executor, you know, for your will or for your trust, and there needs to be folks that, you know, do have that financial power of attorney along with those medical directives. So just want to let you know that's a really important part. So thank you all for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks. And in wrapping up, if anybody needs to see this video or others, there will be copies of it on my YouTube channel, Echoes Across Time. And I will be giving out copies to Sharon, Charles, etc. And
Excellent.
I look forward to hearing from people.
And Jeff, before you finish up, for any of the members that are part of the group, you do have special one-on-one programs that you could help them.
Yes.
Really specific things. So
we
appreciate that hard work. I know you've been helping a lot of people individually.
We can do one-on-ones. We do provide YouTube shorts. We do we do SEO. We do all that. So
excellent. Great. Again, thank you, everybody. Stay safe out there, and we will definitely be catching up with everybody real soon. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you,
everybody.
Sharon.
Thanks.
Okay. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.